No, no, we can't end like this, man. What are we doing? Oh, you guys have seen us covering all of Winning Time as we've been going through since season one, episode one. We've been talking about every episode, and we're here at the finale of season two, which has just been announced as not only the season finale but the series finale. The show has come to a final conclusion with the end of season two, and it got us all by surprise. They announced it after the release of the episode. We came here at first planning to watch and discuss what's next with Winning Time and all the stuff we're looking forward to. Talk about future guys we wanted to have on. We talked about having Jeff Perlman on and others. Wanted to bring others into the loop and things. And we're excited for what could be on the way. As you watch this finale that went on today, and we'll fast forward into the end as we'll circle back to where else we're down. We get to the end and it hit us with the BET slides, as I call them. Hit us with the slides over the words over the slides, describing what goes on. Going on in the future with like squad, which also concludes for us the end of the series. So it caught us all by surprise, and yeah, we're all just in shock right now. How disappointed there are a lot of fans out there that love the show and want to see a lot more of it. So yeah, just a difficult thing to deal with as we now are here. Alec, what are your thoughts on being canceled after just 2 seasons, man? What?
So many thoughts. I like, as you said, like as soon as like the title cards started to show up, I was like, wait, hold on, no, like wait, this ain't what I think it means, is it? No, wait, please. And it continued talking about what they did in 2023, and like I'm like, oh no, like this thing is over.
Yeah.
It was rough to get the news in that fashion. Like they kind of teased us like this was going to be just the season finale, and we might be getting more, but nope. Series finale comes to a close just like that. Kind of a big bomb to drop right there, and I'm ready to show up to the Warner Bros. Discovery office with my pitchfork for sure.
Oh yeah, we riding for sure, for sure. Definitely a tough thing that we're going to continue to deal with. But going to the episode and what went on in this season finale, the series finale that we got, definitely there was a lot of good that we were excited to see. And I loved again how it all played out. It jumped into the 1984 finals. We finally got to see Magic and Bird going at it. We got to see how this thing transpired. We got a revisit of that flashback we got early on in the season of after game one, where they won in Boston, running out of the arena and had to deal with all the fans trying to throw stuff at the bus and things, and went on after that. And it was just a lot of good stuff that I thoroughly enjoyed. Again, it's hard to even talk about it now about what went on because I still just had the thought of what happened at the end. But before I get any further, just talk about what you liked about how they got into this season finale that we got today.
Yeah, I liked the format of the storytelling they did there with starting episode one with that game one win in Boston and circling back to that in the season now series finale in this episode, and then kind of giving us another scene in there kind of added on that we didn't see in episode one, where Riley is talking to Magic and he's like essentially telling him that if he gets too caught up in the mano-a-mano 1-versus-1 matchup between him and Bird, that Boston's going to end up with the championship parade. So getting a little bit of foreshadowing there. But yeah, I liked how they circled back to that storyline. I was hoping there was a couple others like that they started the series off with that I was hoping they get to circle back to, but
yeah,
so be it. So be
it. It's definitely a tough thing, but I will say with the intro, something else that I like, we talk about the little things in the show that they do a good job with. You talk about the talk with Pat and Magic in the opening scene. Even before that, just how they started the show, doing the whole 1980s old school CBS intro. I was like, oh, they're about to really get into it. All the little stuff. They do really good with the details there, and I thoroughly enjoyed that, how that displayed and what transpired after that with the show there. So a lot of good stuff there. Thoroughly enjoyed how that was played out. We talked about them in the bus and what went on with that talk. Beyond that, just going through the game itself and what went on. As you talked about, trying to get through all of the madness that was going on. The fans that were so riled up about it on both sides. The battle between Magic and Bird and all of it, and both teams trying to find their poise in the midst of it all. There's a real good scene again in that I think it was game two where Magic seemed like he was real focused on Bird in the moment, was real focused on the matchup, And Kareem was like, "Yo, Buck, breathe, yo, like
right, yeah,
right up in this moment right now." And
yeah.
he tries to take leadership sometimes. He expresses his leadership sometimes. He expresses his nervousness sometimes by trying to take full control. And Kareem tried to calm him down in that. And I like how that played. So there's just a lot of good stuff in this episode that I thought they continue to do a great job with. Where you want to continue to fast forward from there? What would you like to address next that really caught your eye in this episode?
No, you don't need to fast forward. You could stick with that element of Kareem telling him to breathe, because that a kind of continuation of that conversation goes on between him and Jerry West, which I thought was one of the better scenes in the episode. Actually,
right.
It's a calmer scene, but I thought it was kind of important just for kind of getting into the mind of Jerry West. And I mean, because like we joke and make fun, and especially non-Lakers fans make fun of Jerry West for being 1-8 or whatever he was, like in the finals, having all those finals losses with only one win. And he talked about kind of what was a major reason for that was him focusing on him just taking advantage of what the defense could give him and focus on getting his, but not necessarily uplifting his teammates and making them better in those key moments, like Bill Russell did on the opposing end. And he would just kind of trying to get that message across to Magic, which Magic already played a game where he's seeking to get others involved. But when it came down to the Larry matchup, he kind of got out of himself. Like he talked about how he's typically in the biggest moments, that's when he's the most focused. He's not the least anxious or whatever. But in this moment, as you mentioned, you could tell like some of the anxiety of that matchup was getting to Magic.
We saw at the end of game 2, after I mentioned that moment where Kareem talked to Magic, he tried to go down and make a play and was too focused on Bird, too focused on the cameras, too focused on all the other things going on around him, and led to him not even getting a full proper shot. If he tried to pass it off to Byron Scott, I think it was the top of the key, couldn't get shots off, and it just symbolized his I guess over focus on the other things going on surrounding this series. Excuse me. So yeah, just I thought it was very powerful what you brought up about that talk between West and Magic there, and it somewhat was able to manifest in the series after that. We saw some good stuff there, but it did go back and forth. What do you think about how the series continued to go on after their talk?
Yeah, well, I got something to get to with Bird and the Celtics.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, it was. I think the Lakers blew him out in Game 3, and Magic set the record with 21 assists.
Correct.
And they had Larry in the locker room, and they were talking to him about like what needed to change and that kind of thing. Right. And he's basically kind of going in on his teammates a little bit. Like we need 12 new hearts like in his locker room, including himself. But his teammates are kind of looking like, hey, like he kind of I was gonna say too, like I need to see his pasty little white ass.
I was gonna say, why you have to skirts off, yo? He need to do
like,
that.
Come on, man. Why he talking to the media with just his jockstrap on? Like, come on, dog.
Yeah, this is crazy.
They're like, hey, you got the meat out? Why are you talking to him?
I know it's the 80s, but come on now. That's a shame.
Hey. A little too much Larry skin for me. I need to see all that. But
oh my god.
Yeah, it was a back and forth series, as you mentioned, and I think it was the Game 4 where you kind of got Larry being fed up with the Lakers kind of controlling the series.
Yeah,
and he's talking to was it McHale? Was it McHale? Yeah, okay. Yeah. Talking to McHale, basically trying to get him to not be soft, trying to get him to send a message, and McHale's like not really trying to do that, but basically, he was like getting McHale to do his bidding for him a little bit. Like, go for it.
Before you get there, I thought McHale was already a tough guy leading into that. I didn't know that he was.
Maybe he blossomed into it. I don't know. Yeah,
I thought he already was kind of rowdy, kind of tough guy, Boston-esque type of guy. I didn't know that Larry had to kind of push him into that moment. I thought that was always there. So seeing him kind of put that fire into his back, or even as things go on, that I'll add to. It was just surprising to see that McHale kind of had to, as you said, blossom into the tough guy that we known to be for quite a while. So interesting to see there. I liked how Larry played that.
Yeah, and we got that classic moment that I said I was looking for, where Rambis takes the huge clotheslining from McHale, dirty ass foul. Like in today's NBA, he's probably suspended for the next finals game for that.
Right.
But my question was Larry Bird kind of a hoe?
Wow, that's the question. That's not where I thought you were going. Why you say that?
Because he got Mikhail to do the bidding for him, and obviously, like you have like even in the current NBA, you have the guys that are kind of the tough guys that you get to take the fouls for the stars.
Sure.
You don't want your star to get ejected or anything like
Okay.
that. But he got him to take the hard foul, and then he just backed up. It was in the crowd, like let everybody
I
play.
see what
He
you're
was
saying.
just
I
kind of
see what
watching
you're
from the side, like he just let everybody get to the skirmish, and he was the one who started all that shit.
It was very Godfather-esque. It was very it was almost like Red, honestly. Like he kind of sent his warriors out to do his bidding for him. And yeah, he kind of put the fire in Mikhail's back. Mikhail goes and acts out on it. Then the fight breaks out. And Larry Bird's in the back, just kind of picking around. All right, yeah. Y'all woke up now. I'm glad y'all here. Yeah, that was interesting. I can't call him a hoe, like you're saying. We did see after the fact that Larry did throw some bows himself, and Kareem was like, "Hey, yo, chill out, fam. Like, hey, I ain't sweet like that. Don't play me."
Right.
So Larry did get dirty himself, but no, that definitely was funny how they played. And then to your point, that would be a suspension these days. That'd be all the grand degrees. They call it regular like 2-shot foul. Like, yo, man, like what you crying for? So that was crazy to see back then. Got the whole squad riled up, and after the fact, also showed how you got the Lakers out of character too. They're like, yo, all this physicality and stuff, which is interesting because today they always look back like, oh, it was so physical. We see back then it got physical, and they were like, yo, they're doing too much. It's complaining. That's a whole nother episode for another day. But just to say that the Lakers did not fully know how to handle the Celtics' physicality at first, and it riled them to the point that they lost a few games of it because of that. So yeah, that was wild to see, and that definitely was a major turning point for both squads. And interesting to see how things transpired after that. Anything else you can add to that point?
I guess an extension of that is Larry might not have been the hoe, but the Celtics might have been some hoes, man. They had to turn up the heat to get a win.
What's what you mean hoes, man? Ain't nobody hoes over here. We saw
they had to turn up the heat to get a win, man. What is this?
This? Wait, hold.
Exactly.
Save that.
They literally had to turn the temperature up. Yeah.
I ain't gonna get there just yet. In regards to physicality, no, they definitely were all about it and some of the challenges and all of that.
I'm not talking about that. Yeah.
But yeah, going forward in games, I think that was what was that? Game 4 that was. Right. Game 5. So sorry to bounce around. We saw that was game. I think that was game 2, where first off, Magic responds to Jerry West, has the 21 assists in the game. Game 3 goes on, and I think that's where. The Lakers also win that game, I believe, to go up 2-1 in the series. They come back in game 4. That's where the Rabbits gets hit. And then they go back to Boston in game 5, and they turn up the heat in game 5. The Guardians is a sauna. Kareem needs oxygen. I'm like, bro, what is this? That's where the things got too far. And that was the whole move.
I was like, LeBron would have been cramping like that.
Oh man, he would have been laid out. He would have been respectfully. They might have put the stretcher out, man. It would have been bad. Yeah.
They had Kareem with the oxygen mask and everything on the bench. Like, take him to the locker room, man.
Like, yo.
Don't see him like this, like out in the open. But yeah, I was like
looking crazy right now.
I'm like, man, they had to resort to off the court like tricks and stuff. Like they couldn't just play a man up. Like what's this about? Celtics supposed to be this juggernaut, this dynasty. They got to turn up the temperature.
I didn't want to go here, but it could be Red as the whole of all of them, respectfully, because Red was the one like, hey, you got the water turned off? He's like, just sleep.
Like, come on, man.
Out of here, man. What? y'all tampering with the heat to mess up the Lakers not in the series. That's insane. They were doing way too much in that. I feel you on that. They on that side, that was extreme. And today they would have had all hell break loose. If we even heard any rumblings of something like that possibly going on. So they wrong for that. Couldn't let the game just play on the court. They might have even saw Red, but maybe even seen that the Lakers found ways to work through some of their physicality and could have had a chance to steal the series. So he's like, you know what? I gotta step in and pull out my bag of tricks. And that's what it was. So that was a foul move. That did not help a current anti-Celtics guy have any reason to try to find some grace for them. It only added fuel to the fire. And I was sitting there like exactly how you thought. Like, yo, that was some foul stuff.
Yeah.
What you think about how they did that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just like, I thought, I mean, because they were like this juggernaut at the time, like I wouldn't think they would have to resort to stuff beyond the court, like just to get the W, man. Like, I think Riley talked about it after Game 4 that with them turning up the intensity as far as the physicality and playing like kind of like a street ball game, like that was kind of them showing that they're kind of a team in desperation for him at this point. Like they can't beat us straight up in basketball now, so don't lose your composure, like have poise. But then the very next game is when they turn up the heat and everything, so they resort to something else. So I thought that was interesting. And maybe Matt will have to answer for some of the Celtics.
Oh yeah, we'll have our Boston expert on to explain. He will pay for that one for sure. So that definitely was a wild thing, and it really for a moment shook up the series and was a pivotal one. Obviously, it being a Game 5 as it was, it definitely turned things. And the Celtics go up 3-2. I thought it was funny also how in that to end that scene that the ref passed out. Pat Riley was like, "Yo, what's going on? Call it foul." The ref was like, "I can't even." Bro. Thought that was hilarious. And goes on to Game 6. And before that, they're feeling the effects of that still. Kareem was having migraines and can't get himself together, and it's falling apart because of what went on in Game 5 and is dealing with it. And I thought it was cool how they call it Dr. Johnson stepped in to help Kareem a little bit and gear him back up. And what do you think about their talk and how Magic was able to inspire Kareem a little bit to get back out there for a pivotal Game 6?
Yeah, I thought it was like major salute to Kareem for playing through a migraine, because migraine is no joke. Like just the bright lights is enough to kind of mess your game up. And I think like in recent years, maybe like Dwayne Wade or someone else like was playing with migraines as well too.
Sure.
But that's tough to battle through. But like when you're in the finals and it's the Celtics, the team you've been waiting for, it makes sense why he was like able to push himself like to that nth degree. And he had a great quote where he said, "When I'm in pain like this, I take it out on punk ass white boys." So I was like, "Hey, we ready? We ready?" I like it, Kareem. He's usually the modest, like more quiet, more reserved captain and all that. But when it comes to the Celtics, he got the same vitriol.
Yeah, he said F all that in that game, and that was the point. We talked about Larry Bird getting physical. He was trying to get physical with Kareem. Kareem was like, "Hey, F out of here, yo! I ain't backing down with you. I can handle mine too." And you might not know who he messing with. He really handled that, and they dominated that Game 6 to even up the series. So it was great to see how what led to that moment. Magic talking to Kareem getting up, even working through the migraines and all of that, and then how he went on to dominate that game. I talked about a little bit how in the past I wanted to see more of what went on with Kareem, dealing with the adjusting NBA and what was going on there. So getting them quick little flashes. We got a deep dive a little bit in a couple episodes before, and seeing it coming up again this episode, definitely appreciated. So yeah, that was a great thing, and I continue to really enjoy that. So a lot of good stuff in there. As we continue to talk about the series and what went on with the stuff on the court, something else that caught my attention, just little stuff on going on surrounding the game. For one, as we're now going to get into Game 7 for one, something that I thought about. I didn't remember. I wasn't sure if Jack Nicholson was around already at that time. We got a flash of him on the sideline in Game 7.
I didn't notice.
Great to see. Yeah, they had him. He was behind the coat, behind Pat, yelling something at the fans and all that. That was supposed to be him. I believe it was a young Jack Nicholson in there. So that was very cool. Also, I guess in those stadiums back then, they didn't have booths or whatever for the owners or whatever, but they had Jerry Buss in the stands with the fans in the back.
That's because of Red Auerbach. Remember in the first season he did the same thing.
Yeah, that I guess that refers back to him. But I was like, yo, they got Jerry West just in the stands like this. That's crazy.
No, he ain't getting no special treatment in Boston.
No special treatment. I get it, but just think about how things are. We have all of our suites and all those special amenities for everybody today. I thought that was interesting to see. But yeah, just again, always really enjoy the details of the show and the little things that they put into there and what's going on with it. I will go ahead and finish up what's going on the court. They did talk about some things off the court as well and address that we'll get to. But on the court, we got Game 7 back in Boston. The guys are real tense before the game. I thought it was cool how we saw the kind of nerves of LA. We saw Magic in his room sitting there listening to the TV. We saw Pat sitting there. It was like 12.5 hours before tip-off, and Pat was in his office looking over film and smoking cigars as he does. And on the flip side, Larry was in the gym already. He was just sitting in the gym working on his shot, whatever. Which may have been a precursor a little bit. I guess that was their way of hinting to what was to come. But just showing how everybody expressed, how everybody prepared themselves in different ways. And yeah, just enjoyed at least somewhat enjoyed what went on in that game 7. What else caught your attention leading up to that final game there?
Yeah, you had Jerry West about to have an aneurysm listening to it on the radio as well too. But just to your previous point about just like the small details in the show, I was just kind of marveling, taking a step back, and not necessarily focused on like exactly what was happening in that moment, but just taking a look at the scenery and just like the attention to detail that goes into the show.
Sure.
And just like how good like the Boston Garden like looked, like it looked like real, like that's how it was like back in the day, just like the banners and everything and the gameplay and everything, and just how much like attention to detail there was like in this show for both seasons. And I thought they stepped up their game in this second season. But that was just something for a brief moment. I just paused and was just kind of taking that in because and really appreciating like how quality of a show that they put together, just even the minute details as you mentioned. Really came through, and I thought really made this show shine and made it special. But yeah, just with this game 7, I thought once again we didn't really talk about it, but the refs were kind of
they were biased the whole series.
Yeah, like throughout the entire series as well too. So like the Lakers were kind of playing against that as well, even on their home floor, which is rough.
Yeah.
But then it came to a head once again when they made their comeback and Michael Cooper gets the chase down block and a clean one, and they call a foul. That kind of swings it finally in the Boston's direction. So tough to see them go out like that. But then it makes you a little happy to see them swinging on unruly Boston fans.
Right? Oh yeah. And they verified like this actually happened. Like you
lawsuits ensued. Yeah.
I talked about just a minute ago about how it was weird, I guess, even though I kind of forgot for a moment about the Red and Jerry thing and him seeing the stands. Just about how close he was to everybody else. And then after the game as well, we saw the Celtics found a way to win, whatever. But after that, the fans rushed the court, which is not something we see at all today. That's
right, yeah. That'd be dangerous today.
Yeah, fans rushed the court with the guys still on the court. All the Lakers are trying to fight through the fans to get out of the arena as the celebrate. And we got guys throwing bowls, Kareem fighting fans, guys throwing punches. Kurt threw a punch. The guy who sued it said they filed a lawsuit because of that punch. And it was just full of mayhem after Boston found a way to win that 84 finals. And it definitely was a wild time that transpired there. So they did a great job in displaying that. I was in there like, Kareem, get that hook. But yeah, I really enjoyed that. And what do you think about how that actually went down after that series finale?
Yeah, I mean the loss like had to be a true gut punch. You saw more of it, of course, in the aftermath with Magic crying. Well, yeah, he was crying. He was crying with the team, with the team hug and everything. And then he was in the shower just contemplating life. But yeah, that was a gut punch, absolutely for sure for any Laker fan. It always sucks to lose. It sucks to lose in the finals, but it hurts even more to lose to Boston. And exactly. you could really feel that. So it made sense that they were kind of taking out their anger on the fans who were like jumping on Kareem's back and stuff. And like I said, if that happened like now, like there'd be plenty of lawsuits going.
For sure.
That would not fly. Not even in David Stern's NBA would that fly really. So, but yeah, it was a crazy sight to see to end a finals series and then a true gut punch for that Lakers organization.
It definitely was tough, and again, we talked about with this being the season ending. We knew it was a season ending at least before this. You didn't know it was a series finale. So at this point, this was going on. I'm like, in my head, I was like, I'm sure at some point he's gonna turn his head to the camera and say, "This ain't over." Like I was just waiting for it. Like that's all I needed. That would have been the perfect ending. Like he's sitting there crying, sad, and he looks at us like, "Yo, we coming back for these guys. It's not gonna be it." But it stayed there and it panned away, and it went into the not in the montage just yet, but it went back to Jerry and Jeannie, who we'll circle back to in a moment. But just went on to the rest of the story, and then it panned out, and that was it. I'm like, this can't be the last scene. We see a Magic. I'm like, bro, after all we just went through, there's no way. So yeah, definitely hurt by that. We feel the weight of Magic in that moment dealing with the loss to the Celtics there. And glad at least now that with what we know now, at least know that they were able to bounce back and get their get back on the Celtics eventually. So yeah, definitely tough stuff there. But it was acted out in a great way still, even the sad moment that it was. So yeah, salute to Quincy Isaiah for how he depicted Magic the whole way through. Really enjoyed that. And yeah, I thought that again was a great scene. So good stuff with all the things going on the court or adjacent to it with the Lakers there and what went on in that 84 series. Definitely a fun one that we will try to forget as things go on. But going on with the rest of the show, looking at what else went on there, we got only real other kind of big storyline in this one was just what was going on with Jerry and Honey and the lawsuit and how she was not backing down from that. We saw the weight of how it was influencing the rest of Lakers organization. Jerry's right hand woman, I guess we'll call her Claire Roth. I believe her name is. We found out about what was going on. It was like, yo, you're tearing all of us down by doing this dumb stuff. You can't just forget something that as grand as that was. And there was the great scene where she yelled, "F you, Jerry," and loud as she was walking out of their meeting there. What do you think about how Jerry mishandled the situation with Honey and all that would transpire with him in this episode?
Yeah, I mean, he definitely screwed up because it was like an intentional thing that he didn't turn in the papers, the divorce papers. Like he talked about, like he had them written up and everything, but when it came time to like actually turn them in, he just couldn't for some reason. So I mean, it was completely on him and his potentially like crippling mistake if things didn't turn out in his favor with the lawsuit and all that. But we know that it eventually turned out to be all right. But I had wanted to mention too that we didn't get a whole lot of Claire. I meant to mention it earlier in the season that we didn't get a whole lot of Claire in this season, but I thought her character was great. And she was great every time that she was on the screen as well. She had a great screen presence. So that was like you said, that was kind of the only really other major storyline. They kind of had some Jeannie stuff in there that for me, the Jeannie discussion was like a little bit ham-fisted. Like her like sitting in the chair and like, oh, like you look good in that chair.
Yeah, it fell flat at the end. It just became
very on the nose.
Yeah, they were just kind of prophesying to what we knew what was to come in the future. And it was just a lot of that. Like, they stopped going into all the little chess match things going on. They stopped getting into
less Game of Thrones
brothers. They got away from all of that and just said Jeannie wants a spot and what is going to lead into her becoming that, and her trying to just get acceptance from her father as she wants to fully step into that role, and how he finally saw that she could be the one. So that kind of was it for them. They did
have that. I would say they did have that kind of heart-to-heart moment where it was like Jerry was like, "You're all I have," kind of thing, and she was kind of like, "It's the same here." So they kind of had that moment of realization that they were kind of each other's right-hand man in that way, and I guess that's some foreshadowing as well to what would later become of her being the owner. But yeah, that storyline I like kind of fell flat and kind of felt like very on the nose, like how they were trying to like foreshadow that she will be the owner one day. Like, yeah, we know. Like,
yeah, we get it. All right. So yeah, that was really it. I guess some more small things I'll circle back to because I took notes myself. Something else, another little thorn in the side that I felt, a small scene after the Celtics won. They showed Jerry watching the TV with Red and while celebrating with champagne and all that. And he's like, leave the dynasties to us, huh? Like, 15
It was a good shot. It was a good jab.
All right, man. Good shot. You got it. Whatever. You got it. But I was like, you ain't to do all that. But yeah, definitely little things like that. Again, as I said, they always do great with. So a lot of good things that went on with that. And that was the end. After the scene here, we have Jerry and Jeannie laying on the court, symbolic to how we started in season one with Jerry on the court himself, building up the forum. Now here, getting ready to build his dynasty. That's where it ends for the show. It goes into again, as I called it, the BET slides, and it goes into it goes into what's next with them, and it just tells a story in short motion what all transpired after the fact, and made us all realize that was that we said to begin. So is what it is with the show. Again, hurt that it ended that way. We'd love to see more of it go on for a few seasons.
Real quick before we talk about like what we kind of wanted to see.
Yeah.
One small moment that I also liked was on the Boston side. Was a moment that Larry had with his mom in the locker room.
True. Good point.
I was like, hey, Larry's mom's all right, man. Like, she took a couple jabs at him when she was like, Magic's my second favorite player. And he was like, you ain't have to say second. I know he's your favorite. She's like, nah, Bill Laimbeer is my favorite, actually. But nah, that was like a funny little moment of levity there. Because you got Larry like being the tough guy, like as he said, like he plays mean or whatever he said to his mom. So he typically didn't come out of that like persona per se. His version of Mamba mentality, he didn't really come out of that. But off the floor, you kind of got like a little bit of another side in that moment with his mom. So that was a cool moment.
For sure. As I was going to say, as I wrapped it up, something else I was going to allude to in closing. My question first was going to be just about what we did see, did you want to see developed more? And a part that I wanted to see developed more was to your point, was just Larry and Magic and that dynamic, not just on the court, but in the national media and how they described that. We had scenes early on when they were first entering the league. I think that was David Stern talking about how we want to position them to be the guys of the future. I would like to see more of that play out. We saw in the talk with Claire, with Jerry, they talked about how TNT is finally going to be stepping in, and they're going to have 70 or 50 games or whatever on TV, and it's finally going global and all of that. I would have loved to see that develop more. They hinted to it, obviously, but we didn't get a chance to see that full. Even in what we did get, I thought they showed little flashes of who Magic and Larry were and the impact of it on the league, but they didn't really dive into it as much as I thought they would. For what we did get, I'll ask you the same thing. What more did you want to see in the show there?
Yeah, definitely agree with those points. Definitely, of course, we wanted to see the get back with the Lakers beating them in the finals too. I maybe number one wasn't basketball related. I really wanted to see them get to finish the Magic Johnson story arc that they started in the very first episode, because they started it off with his HIV announcement, the day of his HIV announcement, essentially. And so I really wanted to see like how they methodically like got to that point. Because that starting off the series like that, like that's clearly like a focal point that they wanted to get to. So it's really a shame that we didn't get to see that arc completed. I felt.
I had this queued up. That was a thought as well. We got to that, and they never really alluded back to it. We stopped getting a lot of the reckless Magic as we got on.
Cookie was more involved. And everything.
They tried to. They made him a family man and all of that. And I should put it in quotes, but come on now, it's what it is. Respectfully. So we didn't get to see what all led to that moment. And I kept that. That's been in the back of my head as this whole season that has gone on. Just how they were going to circle back to it, and we never got a chance to see it play out. So hopefully Apple TV or Netflix put the call in and sends it back because we can finish this proper. But for now, is what it is. And I really I'm hurt a little bit that we didn't get to see how they finally had to tie it back to what they started with there. There clearly was a plan for it that didn't get to fully get brought to life. So good stuff there. Anything else that you want to see get brought up?
A funny one, not serious, but I was hoping we maybe get to the 90s a little bit to see Jeannie bust it open for Playboy magazine. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
No, but I mean, like as you said, like because we kind of had like an element of where it felt like Game of Thrones in a sense, where it was like Jeannie showing that ambition and wanting to take more of the reins of the franchise. And I actually liked that element of the storyline. Like I didn't like it as much when it was Jeannie and Honey or whatever, or Magic and Cookie and that kind of stuff. But like when we were kind of more focused on Jeannie and her ambition as a businesswoman and wanting to be the owner, that stuff was more interesting to me, because we know how later down the line there was issues between her and her brothers in terms of management and that kind of thing. So I kind of wanted to see more of that play out as she took on more of a role.
There's a whole Game of Thrones show in there that could have been developed if they wanted to. I would then kind of get to see it brought to life. Also, kind of in another way, Game of Thrones-ish. We see how I mentioned earlier, wanting to see more of the dynamic of Magic and Bird becoming the faces of the league. We see how the series ends in '84. That year is the year that Jordan gets drafted. So seeing how Jordan comes into the league, and those teams are kind of rough at the start, how he's a force that's kind of in the background as they're all doing their thing. Like, yes, we're winning all these championships. We're all doing great. But this kid is dropping 60. Like, what is going on?
Hey, they might have done him like that Air movie though, where he's not his face ain't even showing.
Sure. But just saying how they could have gotten into how they felt the pressure of him rising up in the league as well. There were a lot of angles that could have went on in the show that didn't quite get to manifest. So yeah, sad to see that this is not going to continue as we thought it would. Truly a crime that it's only got 2 seasons. And it wasn't canceled short because it could have gave a third one. Come on now. But so for now, as they said on their Twitter page themselves, where I can find it.
Said it is what it is or whatever.
Yeah, it is what it is. Can I even pull it up?
Nah, man.
Oh yeah, here it is. It is what it is. So yeah, it's definitely a sad thing right now. We will see if we can get in contact with anyone else on the show, just to share their thoughts again on what this show meant to them and what if there anything else could be done, even with the announcement already being made and all of that. And definitely enjoyed Winning Time for what it was. So any other thoughts on the show that you want to share?
Yeah, I echo those sentiments. And like, we have seen shows that have been successful on one network get picked up by another network in the past. While we do like feel that HBO typically is on the higher end as far as like the prestige television. So the production value tends to be heightened, and there's another level of gravitas that comes with being on HBO. But if another like Apple TV or Prime or something picked it up, I'd gladly would continue watching Winning Time. So if there is a way that it can continue, I'd be happy. But if not, well, we will mourn the loss. And then lastly, too, I hope with this series concluding, that doesn't mean that the Kobe and Shaq 3-ring circus can't come out. Like, hopefully down the line that still has a possibility of coming out too. Hopefully it doesn't affect that. So yeah. Sad, but we got some great television for 2 seasons for sure.
Yeah, for sure. This definitely is a tough ending. There is a way for them to still fast forward beyond this and go to the 3-ring circus and make that its own separate entity if they wanted to. So fingers crossed for that. But also with this, I hope this doesn't leave a bad taste in folks' mouth in regards to just sports shows in general, and that we continue to get them going forward. I bring it up to say, I bring it up to ask you, with this now being ended as it has, is there another team you want to see further get its own series at some point, or you think the Lakers are the pinnacle of that and we should leave it be and go another way with it going forward?
We've definitely talked about this before. I think like another like larger than life figure like that. So like if like LeBron was at the center of it, like maybe like the Heatles, like the Miami LeBron with Bosh, D Wade, and those teams, and like them losing to the Mavericks and that kind of thing, and then coming back and winning 2 titles and that kind of. I think starting with Pat Riley is there too.
Starting with the Miami, starting with the announcement that's the start of the show. I think that'd be a great thing, and going on from there,
decision or whatever. Yeah,
the rest of his career beyond that. Yeah, I think that'd be a great one. Thinking out loud right now, obviously Tom Brady's a big name. NFL wise, we're in the middle of the NFL season. Tom Brady story, which already has kind of been done in ways.
He did his own, which no one watched.
No one watched it, but if there was some kind of series they could do on him, I'm sure that'd be great as well. Obviously, those are the biggest names beyond what we got here with the Lakers there. So I don't know. I can't think of who else would fit in that criteria. Maybe the Yankees could be a good one too. What went on with what was the name? My apologies. The Steinbrenns, I think it was, that owned it, and then all that transpired with them as they went on with their dynasties they had as well. So there are teams that could get a good shine at some point, and we'll see who is next to get their own series. So yeah, that is it. Again, any other thoughts for you, Alec?
Nah, RIP Winning Time for the meantime. I guess.
For the time being, RIP to Winning Time. Definitely was a great show that we thoroughly enjoyed. As we saw, we reacted each week to what went on there, and it was definitely a great time. We will continue on from here with all of our NFL and NBA talk as we have been doing, and we'll continue to find shows beyond that to talk about as they arise. So looking forward to what still is on the way for us. We will find ways to stay connected with Winning Time folks as we can. And yeah, definitely appreciate them for all they contribute to us. And we'll have to give it a rewatch again at some point and revisit the old days. So good stuff there. That'll be it for us tonight as well. We appreciate y'all for tuning in as you guys do. Continue to show love to the show, however you do. Like, rate, review, subscribe, comment, share, all of that. We definitely could use the love here ourselves, and excited for all that's on the way here with us too. So that is it. And yeah, we'll see you guys again real soon. We'll be back with all our NFL stuff throughout the week and beyond. So see y'all. Yeah, see y'all again. I'm repeating myself now. We out of here, man. Appreciate y'all. Peace, man.
Deuces.